Today I'm going to talk to you about how you've been lied to about building muscle and that it doesn't burn many calories. So like the conventional claim a lot of people make is, trust me cuz, I'm telling you, you start lifting these weights, you're just going to become a metabolic furnace for heat and production of... Alright, that's a major over-exaggeration, but the point is, it's just not the case. So I did some research, like I looked at literature and all the sciencey stuff, and I just couldn't find anything. Like, I really wanted to believe that muscle burnt a ton more calories than a lot of people make out, but it really doesn't. I stumbled across some hypothesis, I assume it would be, from a bloke called Christopher Wharton. Shout out to this guy, I don't know you. But he has a PhD, so I'm already like, woo, PhD, fantastic. And in the article, he said that muscle burns an additional 50 calories per gram on top of your resting metabolic rate. Now, already this sounded quite ludicrous to me. And all the other research I did stumble on looked at like, well, they had a group of people who did resistance training, and then these people had an increase in energy expenditure throughout the day, but they never directly measured how much calories muscle actually burns, and I just attributed the increased energy expenditure to the fact that these people probably just did more activity from the baseline measurement to the end of the study, and of course they're going to burn more calories. So, but don't get me wrong, like muscle actually it does aid in your total daily energy expenditure. Like if you've been training for a very, very long time, and you've put on a ton of muscle over the course of your whole training career, then you're going to have a higher total daily energy expenditure because you cost more to keep around because you're bigger. You're a bigger thing to keep around. But muscle does not burn this disproportionate amount of calories that a lot of other people actually suggest that it does. It just doesn't. Alrighty, so for this next bit, just bear with me because it's gonna get tricky.
To rock around, that's right, on time is tricky.
So I'm going to use myself as an example as to why muscle mass doesn't burn as many calories as a lot of people make out. Yes, N equals 1, but to my knowledge, I haven't seen a study that directly measures the thermogenic cost of muscle mass. If anyone has a study out there or a like study that suggests that muscle mass burns 1 bajillion calories per gram, or a substantial amount per gram, please link it, comment it. I'm really interested in reading it because to my knowledge, like I said, I haven't seen jack that would convince me that muscle burns a ton of calories. So over the course of my entire training life, I've gone from a measly 56, I might even have been as light as 54 kilos, all the way up to a whopping massive 86 kilos, not that massive, but it's a massive jump nonetheless over the course of 6 years. Now, assuming my body fat remained the same, which I'm telling you right now, it definitely hasn't. I'm all about the food. We're going to use Katz-McArdle's formula to determine my total daily energy expenditure, and I'm going to loosely assume that my body weight, my body fat percentage is 14%, which I know it isn't. Or it might be. But I sort of look around that 14% range. I'm still a little bit chubby. I definitely don't have a six-pack. But you can tell that I lift and I still, hopefully, look somewhat muscular. So, after I used the Katz-McArdle formula, I saw a difference, and I'm going to put what everything was and is in like a little caption down below. But there is a difference of around 800 calories over the course of 6 years. So that means that the initial reference of 50 calories per gram, per pound is way off. My muscle apparently isn't that good and only burns 12.54, I think, calories per pound of muscle that I have. So, like I said, I don't think I'm 14%, or I might be 14%. And if I'm more than 14%, that means that 12.45, not 54, that 12.45 calories per pound of lean muscle is even less. We could say, assuming that we burn, or I burn, N equals 1, 10 to 14 calories per pound of lean tissue. Maybe. All hypothesis again, based on estimations and formulas. Now, you're probably thinking, holy shit, 10 to 14 calories per pound is actually quite a lot. But it took me 6 years to increase my energy expenditure by 800 calories. 6 years, you you do high school in 6 years? That's a long time. So going out there and saying, trust me, in 4 weeks your energy expenditure is going to be through the roof because you've added like a bunch of muscle is ludicrous again. It's wrong. Okay, so it definitely was worth building 29 to 30 kilograms of muscle. I don't know, I'm just saying 29 to 30 kilograms of muscle over the course of 6 years. I'm not saying it's not worth it, but what I'm saying is it's definitely not true that muscle burns a lot of calories. It took 6 years to add that much size to my frame. And this is a realistic expectation for yourselves starting out in your training career. When you start to gain muscle, you need to consider all the confounding variables along the way. If you're going to be stressed, you're probably not going to adapt to your training as much as if you weren't stressed. There's some really interesting research on that showing that that actually happens. You need to account for injury. You need to account for holidays. You need to account for breaks in your training. You need to account for your fat loss phases, because when you start throwing in some fat loss phases, you're obviously not going to be putting on muscle. In that time period of whatever how many weeks you are not in a surplus, there's a very good chance that you are not putting on any muscle. So you've spent like God knows how many weeks just not adding size. So you need to account for that too. So over the course of 6 years, to put on 29 to 30 kilograms of muscle is achievable, right? Realistic, and doesn't cost $1 bajillion in steroids. And before anyone misinterprets what I'm saying again, I'm not saying you can't gain more muscle than that. I'm just saying that this is what I've gained over the course of 6 years. So that means over the course of 6 years, if I've gained around 29 to 30 kilos, that means I gained around 5 kilograms of muscle per year. That's pretty good. And if I'm still gaining around 5 kilograms of muscle per year, that'd be fantastic. But I'm obviously not, because obviously when you continue to train and you keep training, there is a diminishing returns, and you don't put on as much muscle. And also in your first year of training, so I've just averaged out that 5 kilo. Also in your first year of training, you obviously put on a lot more than 5 kilos. You're just a freak in your first year. It's the most fantastic thing ever. And that happens in 1 year, and then it doesn't happen again. So over that, like I said, over the course of that 6-year time frame, I put on 5 kilograms per year, averaging it out, and not accounting for like when you're a beginner and when you're not a beginner and when you just stop gaining muscle really quickly. So that means that over the course of my whole 6-year training career, I only put on, or I only contributed an additional, or just over an additional 100 calories to my total daily energy expenditure per year. And that's pretty good. But in your first year, and a lot of people go to coaches and trainers, or a lot of people do some reading on the internet, and they expect to gain a ton on their total daily energy expenditure within a year. You're only going to gain about 100 calories. Provided you smash the weights really hard. Now, if you've gone from sedentary to active, you're going to put a lot onto your total daily energy expenditure, but we're just talking straight up from the muscle tissue that you gain. So I think here's the most depressing part of it all. Over the course of 365 days a year, okay, your muscle, a pound of muscle, only burns an additional 0.38 calories. That is minuscule, nothing. I'm burning more calories standing around doing videos for you guys. So from these estimations, we can conclude that muscle doesn't burn that many calories. Now, N equals 1, which means I'm the only person that I've referenced in my little study here. It's not even a study. I sat on the computer and pulled out a calculator and I started typing some stuff in, and this is the conclusion I came to. So, using all these estimations and calculations, we can conclude that muscle doesn't burn as many calories as a lot of people make out. And yes, I am one person, N equals 1, but I'd hypothesize that it wouldn't be very different for, God knows how many other people in the population. So this video has been pretty doom and gloom, but there are other ways to effectively increase your energy expenditure. 1, exercise. That's fantastic, right? We just talked about that. A lot of people in the studies that I cited or looked at, they did increase their total daily energy expenditure, but it wasn't like a mechanistic, the muscles burnt the calories, because they were moving more and doing more, and the muscles were contracting and relaxing a lot more, and thus they had to burn more calories. But it wasn't like this like straight thermogenic mechanism from the muscle. It was because they were doing more stuff. Go down to the garden, do all that sort of stuff. I just pointed to my garden. Increase your NEAT, so park really, really far away from the shops. You can walk closer to the shops. My missus hates it when I do that. Actually, I think everyone hates it when I do that, but I like going for a little bit of a stroll. You can go for a run. Cardio doesn't kill your gains. Go for a walk. Move your hands around. Talk with your hands. Increase your fidgeting and all that sort of stuff. But the most important thing, and if you're sensing a theme here, that's because there is one. You just pick stuff that you can stick to long term. You'll reap all the benefits that come along with sticking to an intervention. Alrighty guys, that's all the time I'm going to take away from you today. I really hope you enjoyed that video. Like I said, if I'm wrong, and there is a ton of research out there showing the metabolic cost of muscle, and I just have really piss poor genetics, please leave these studies in the comment section, because I want to read them. I actually want to be wrong about this, because I'd love to be able to tell people that their muscle is some like fantastic thermogenic aid, but in reality, it would seem that it's not. So thanks again, and I'll speak to you next time.